Hello dear audience, today we have a special guest joining us from the United Nations. As many of you know, the United Nations plays an indispensable role in addressing global issues and promoting sustainable development. In this conversation we will delve into some crucial topics that concern not only Uzbekistan but also international community. Hello Sabine, I am very pleased to have the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you. I'm also very happy to be here. Thank you.
As the United Nations representative in Uzbekistan, your insights and experience on global cooperation and multilateralism are crucial. Let's discuss some important topics together. As you know, global cooperation and working together between countries are facing problems today. And why do you think it is still important for countries to work together, and what can be done to solve these issues?
I'm a very strong believer in multilateralism, because I believe in today's world, what we see, we have a lot of challenges. On the one hand, we see that there is a lot of conflicts in the world. We also see that the environment is being challenged with the climate change. And I think no country can deal with all these challenges alone. Therefore, I'm a strong believer that multilateralism is the answer to many of these issues. As you know, we have the 2030 agenda, where we have 17 development goals. And goal number 17 is about our cooperation and the cooperation of countries among each other. I think this is very important because here in Uzbekistan I see that the country also understands the value of multilateralism and also understands the importance of the United Nations as the only global organization that brings everybody together.
According to some clear data, Uzbekistan has been very active on the world stage recently, helping with global cooperation. And how is Uzbekistan contributing to countries working together and multilateralism?
Uzbekistan is very, very strong in the United Nations, a very important partner in the United Nations of all the member states. Since 2018 until now, there have been 13 General Assembly resolutions that have been adopted on the initiative of Uzbekistan. This is a really big number, and this is really great to see that Uzbekistan is so important at the global stage to really advocate for more solidarity, for more work together. For instance, recently there was a big event here in Tashkent. The Interparliamentary Union was meeting. There were about 2,000 parliamentarians from the whole world meeting here in Tashkent. And President Mirziyoyev has addressed these 2,000 people and has also underlined the importance of the United Nations, and that he said this is really, that Uzbekistan is a strong believer in the Charter of the United Nations, that we need to have solidarity with each other. We should not have a world where we get a lot of different polars and get into antagonistic situations, but really how we can actually work together. How can we take the challenges that are before us and work together as all the countries, no matter whether we are big or small, no matter whether it's a rich country or a poor country, but the whole point is really that there should be more equality and more solidarity with each other.
As you know, Sabine, young people care a lot about issues like fairness and the environment, but they often feel left out of politics. According to your thoughts and experiences, what can be done to get them more involved in making decisions that affect the world?
And in particular here in Uzbekistan, right, where we have 60% of young people in the society, a very good question. And I think there is an agenda, the strategy, the youth strategy for 2030, which really underlines these points that you've just mentioned. How can young people, not tomorrow, but today, already lead us in a way forward? How do we leverage all these new technologies, the digitalization? How do we deal with artificial intelligence? How can we really learn together in dealing with all these new phenomena and the new situations that we are finding ourselves in? So I believe very strongly in young people's motivation, also in their energy of really driving this agenda, and we need them very much in terms of seeing how the future should be shaped together. We see that unfortunately, due to what we have said earlier, the conflicts and also a lot of challenges through climate change and so on, are bringing a lot of disasters on us, and we need to find solutions to this. And I believe that the best solution is if we learn from each other. Countries have different best practices in different areas. How can we exchange what has worked here, maybe it can also work in another country. Or where Uzbekistan is looking for a solution, maybe we can also look to another country of how this was dealt with in a different situation. So our Secretary General has last year been a very big supporter and also in the lead up to the Pact of the Future, which was done between the member states, where a lot of these issues, our challenges of today's time, basically have been put into the center. And the states have promised and have said, yes, we will work together and we need to find solutions of how we do this. And I think this is where young people come in very strongly, because yourself, you're also very young. You have, of course, grown up with a very different world than, for instance, I have grown up. When I was in school, there was no internet, right? We were still using these typewriters. We didn't have telephones, we had to go home to use our telephone. So it's a completely different world, and I think this is very important that people understand that these new developments, new technologies also bring new challenges with them. And how do we address this? I think young people can guide us in what it is, what is fair, what is just, in how we are moving forward.
If you don't mind, let's compare the past and the present. I mean, how would you compare the state of the United Nations when it was first established to its current situation?
So 80 years ago, we had a completely different world, right? The Second World War was just over. People have said never again, so much war, so much devastation. And when this United Nations was created, it was a very different time, right? There were very few women who were in politics. In many countries, they were not even allowed to vote. I mean, things have changed over the 80 years, and I think in many, many areas for the better, right? I mean, we have really developed as human beings. We have developed, for the majority, I would say, in a positive direction. But there is also some things that we really need to address very strongly. Out of the Sustainable Development Goals, my favorite one is actually number 10, which is about equality, and which is really about the idea is to make states more equal, and also within a state, within Uzbekistan, that there is more equality for people who live in the rural areas and those who live in urban cities. That there is more equality between the girls and the boys, that everybody gets a chance to have their talents developed. That, really the equality issue, that we move closer together, and not what is unfortunately happening now, that we are moving further apart. That there is more difference between rich and poor, more difference between rural, urban, between states. I think this is not a good development. We really need to help each other in addressing the issues that we have. And I think the only way forward is, in a globalized world in which we live now, where we have all access to all information, to really work together in addressing this.
How do you see the role of the United Nations after 20 years or 15 years?
So now it's 80 years old, right? We have this UN 80 years of the United Nations. It has gone through many different times. I think the Charter is a really good anchor, because it is about us as the people of this earth, no matter where we are, no matter where we are born, no matter where we have been socialized, no matter where we have been educated. And this Charter is what unites us. And this is, I often think about this, a boy here in Uzbekistan and a little girl in Austria, when they are 3 years old, they get the same messages from their parents, right? It's all about us as people and our own dignity. And then later on, when we grow up, we have different religions, we have maybe different customs, we like different food, we go to different schools. But in the end, it's always coming down to us as people, and no matter where this is, where we are born, but really to protect the rights of all of us, and to find ways of how we are dealing with the evolving world. And I think in particular, also on the environmental side, this is very important, because we have been really exploiting the planet for a very long time, and now we are seeing the consequences. I mean, just recently, right, 2 days ago in Texas, these floods with so many people killed, and it's permanently these news that we have, which is really also related to the climate change everywhere across the globe. To address those issues, we need new ideas. We need to find jobs that are greener, that are better, that are more decent. We need to find ways of how we go beyond just money or only the material wealth, but also how do we actually develop as people together.
The last but not the least, what do you think? What are the ways to strengthen the role of the United Nations? I mean, nowadays there are some countries who just ignore obeying the rules of the United Nations. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this?
This is very unfortunate. I agree with you. I think we need to hold these countries even more accountable. You know, I'm thinking we need to hold each country accountable also to what a country has signed up to, right? If you have signed a treaty, if you are a member of the United Nations, you have said you respect the Charter, right? And I think other countries need to remind this country that is not following of what their obligations are. And I think this is really important. Because we cannot go back. I believe it's a mistake if we go back to just the bigger one and the stronger one always wins. I think this is not what we are as people, right? I mean, we have been developing over so many years, and we have also come to the conclusion that we need to really bring everybody along. I mean, nobody should fall between the cracks just because they are born maybe in a rural area of a poor country. I mean, people should everywhere be able to develop their talents, because otherwise we're missing out so much, right? And we don't, maybe these are the people who have the best solutions for the big global problems that we have.
Sabine Mahl, thank you for the useful and meaningful conversation. It was really interesting. We wish you success in your difficult but honorable profession.
It's an honor to be here. I'm very happy to be working in Uzbekistan, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Kat rahmat.